Now, let's talk about Azure Databricks. So from introduction point of view, I can, walk you through with the very good websites. Okay. So the most authentic piece of information we have for this Azure Databricks is the website given by Microsoft, right? This is the website. So when we are talking about what is Azure Databricks, so we should talk about Azure Databricks is a unified, means one common platform, open analytics platform for building, deploying, sharing, and maintaining enterprise grade data analytics and AI solution at scale. The Databricks offers you data intelligence platform that integrate with cloud storage and security, right? So basically in return, if I talked about Azure Databricks, right, Azure Databricks is basically a services offered by Apache Spark company, right? With and they have a tool known as Databricks, basically a technology known as Databricks, invented by Apache Spark, and it replaced the previous used Hadoop technology from the market, right? And this technology is only meant for big data handling. And I'm saying big data handling, it could be a storage, it could be of ETL, it could be of doing analysis, right? So when we are talking about big data, the first and foremost thing is storage. Then we can perform some ETL operations, means we can do some kind of transformation. When I'm talking about transformation, the meaning is I'm trying to do some kind of cleaning, manipulation of a data, right? And creating data in a very structured format, right? For example, you used to do a join, you used to do a filter, you used to, apply some logic, calculations. So those are nothing but a kind of transformation opportunities. So all the ETL related to big data, Databricks can handle. Now we are using Azure. Similarly, if you are using Amazon, like Amazon Web Services, right, offered by Amazon company, and Azure offered by Microsoft company, so they have their internal tie-up with this Apache Spark, right, where they are using Databricks technology to handle the ETL info, I mean, ETL activities, storage, etc. Right? So internally, your Databricks is available to Azure also, and that is known as Azure Databricks. Okay. In a same manner, you had used Azure SQL DB, correct? Azure SQL database. So Azure SQL database is again a different database, but because it is hosted in Azure cloud, so that's why you are calling this as a Azure SQL DB, and you are using this to store the data in SQL database. But actually it is a same SQL database, but it is hosted on Azure cloud. In a similar manner, if you are using Azure Databricks, right, it is the same Databricks offered by Apache Spark company, right, but it is hosted on Azure cloud, right? So all the features of Databricks to store, to do the cleaning, to do the ETL will be available for Azure also, right? Okay, so we can now so this is about what is Azure. Now the next question is, what is the use of it, right? So as we know, we can store, we can store the storage, right? For big data, we can perform ETL operations, right? And we can do any manipulation or analysis on top of that data, right? So this is very powerful and in demand technologies these days, right? And how we can do the ETL, or how we can do the transformation, that is a big question. So we have multiple options. Like if we know the Python, we can do with the help of Python. If we know the SQL, we can write the SQL code also. If we know the R language, we can do the programming in R also. And we can have another language is Scala. So there are four options you are having. If your expertise in any of the four of the technologies, you can use that technology and you can work in Azure Databricks, right? But Python is the most in demand, in these days. But you can have other options like SQL, R programming language, and Scala as well. Okay, so this is a very brief about Azure Databricks. Now, when we are talking about our case study, right? So the case study which we are working on, where we can use the Azure Databricks in length. So what we are going to do, first of all, as we know, you have already done this part of the case study where we are extracting the data from our GitHub repository, which is available at a web link, which is, so we are using HTTP connector in our Azure data factory pipelines, right? With the help of pipeline, we are just storing this as data in a raw format in a first layer, and this layer we named it as alpha layer. This is a beta layer and this is a gamma layer. So these are three layers which I explained. So initially we are using Azure Data Factory pipeline to extract the data from our GitHub account to the alpha layer, right? It's a simple extract where we are using parameterized pipelines. So you can say dynamic pipelines. So with the help of this, we are having 10 different files, or all these 10 different files, we are just using, one single pipeline. So that is the power of parameterization. So, so that we have used to feed the data in a raw format. I can just show this to you. Okay, so this is our storage account, and in this storage account we can go to the container, and in this container this is our alpha layer, right? Alpha layer. So I am having all these data available in this alpha layer. So these are the, for example, if I go to the calendar, this is the calendar data, right? So the same thing you guys have done it. Okay, we have customer data, right? And we have other data as well, right? I think product is a duplicate one, so I should delete this. Actually, I don't want to duplicate. It's available. So I have deleted product. So in total, we have 10 different files. So we have sales for 3 year, 2015, 16, and 17. Okay. Then we have a calendar data. We have a customer data. We have a product category. We have products. We have return data, right? Return is nothing but a transactional data. Okay. We have territories and subcategories also. So let's work on this case study. So this is an alpha layer. So my objective, so our first part was done in the previous sessions where we have used Azure Data Factory pipelines to simply load the data with the help of parameterizations. Okay. Since our data is loaded in alpha layer, so next layer is a beta layer. This is the beta layer. Okay. So we are loading data in ADLS Gen 2 only, correct? In alpha layer. ADLS Gen 2, you all know, we have stored the data in CSV file. Again, this data is in raw format, means as it is we are doing the data. The next milestone that we have to achieve is we will do some kind of transformations, like we can do some kind of joining the tables because we have multiple tables to join. Then we will also some kind of drive derivation of the columns with the help of mathematical calculations, right? We can do some kind of filters also. So those cleaning activity, when we are talking about Azure Data Factory, but we have an option of data flow. But because we want to introduce with the help of Databricks, because Databricks has a capability to handle the big data as we discussed today. So from alpha layer to beta layer, we will use Databricks. Okay. And with the help of this Databricks, we will do the transformation and then load to the beta layer. Okay. So this is that part. Now, to do that, first of all, we should know how to build the Databricks, how to use this technology, right? So this is the first class where we will get understanding of that. Now, to do that, we will go to the home and just hit on create resource, right? Here we will choose Databricks, okay? Or you can mention Azure Databricks also. Azure Databricks. Okay. So as at the moment you will use Azure Databricks, you would be able to see this icon. Okay. This is Azure Databricks. So Azure Databricks is fast, easy, and collaborative Apache Spark based analytic platform. So as I mentioned, this is not purely from Microsoft, but Apache Spark is there. You can hit on create option. Okay. So at the moment you hit on create option, you will be landed in this, you know, screen where you will use your subscription. So you can use your subscription. So my subscription is free account, right? So that's why it's free trial. So now you have to use your resource group. So I am using one resource group. Okay, I think there are three resource groups. Meteorology. Okay, okay, okay. I'm telling you why this three resource group has come, because I had already made a, Azure Databricks workspace, right? So when we are making an Azure Databricks workspace, there are some additional resource groups we need to create. So that I already created. So we will use our first resource group, that is the main resource group. Now we will use name of the Azure Data bricks, right? So I'm just giving a simple name like ADB, Azure Databricks. Okay. Project, or you can say ADB practice, like this, right? So I'm not going to create anything because one of the resource group which I already created. So I am just showing you the options. So now here, you will use the region. Region, basically you should use the nearby region, but I'm using the US, East US, or you can use any of the other regions also, right? Um, Listen, this Databricks is very costly technology, so we have to be very careful when we are creating that. So to save the cost, it's very important to know the pricing of each and every regions, right? So we can, navigate through pricing as well. Okay. So I'm having some website. I just copied to check the pricing. Okay. So, okay. If you hit on this website, Azure Databricks pricing, okay. Just a second. View pricing page. Visit the pricing page. Okay. So if you hit that, then you can see for data engineering, this is the starting pricing, right? So this depend on the, configuration you select, the platform you select. Okay. So if you just, so we don't have to explore so much of things, but this is the page where you can select. So basically premium is the, most costlier one. So in AWS, the standard does not comes. For Azure, because we are taking for Azure, then we will go with and standard is the cheapest one, right? That's why we are choosing it. Then you have a different region, so US East or US East 2, yeah, right? We can, if we select US East, because this is what we are selecting, right? Then we can see the common features like managed by Spark, manual, right? And everything. So I'm using, okay. So you can see this is the pricing, database per unit. Okay. Databricks units, DBU, is a normalized unit of processing power of the Databricks Lakehouse platform, the number of DBU units. Anyways, we are not going in detail of this. In a simple manner, what we are going to do, we will use a specific any reason. Then pricing tier, it is recommended if you are using a free trial or you want to save the cost, you will use standard one only, because premium services will be on the higher side of the cost. Then you have to create a managed resource group. And why to manage a resource group? Because see, this resource group is responsible for your billing activity, whatever resources you are using from Azure side, right? Obviously this is also from Azure side, but this is managed separately because there is the owner of this Databricks is a different company like Apache Spark, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to create a different managed sports resource group. So what I'm doing, I'm typing managed. You can give any name. I'm giving the same name like managed resource, managed, and then this one, right? Then we don't have to worry, just click on next. So we just, these are the by default options for networking, because we are not using any virtual network, virtual machine, so we will use just no options, right? We'll hit on next is encryptions. We are not selecting any other options, all are fine. We will click on next security. So security options are also fine, we are just using the standard practice over here. Then tags, we don't want to add any tags, right? Then we will hit on review and create. Okay. So at the moment we will hit on review and create, it will validate. Okay, so validation is successful means nothing, there is no problem with that. Then I will hit on create. So I am not hitting on create because it will take time, right? So what I did, I already made that stuff. Okay, so let me check this out. Oh, it's not coming. Just hold on. Okay, so we can click on this. So this is what it is created. Okay, so once you create that, you would be able to see this Azure Databricks. Okay, I had created with this name. Okay, you can see the resource group is this is your east location, this is for subscription free trial. Okay, this is the URL. Okay, you, if you want to click on the URL, and manage resource group, as I mentioned, I kept manage resource group as this, and this is your pricing tier. So I selected the standard pricing tier, right? So I would recommend you also to select only standard one only. You have option to upgrade to premium, but we are not going to upgrade it, right? Then we have all the links like documentation, getting start, import data from file, import data from Azure storage, how you are importing from Azure Data Lake storage, right? ADLS Gen 2. Notebooks, what are the notebooks, how you can do that. Link Azure ML Workspace. So if you want to go and read any document here, you can do that, right? So this is how we have created Azure's Databricks resources. But the same way we had done it for Azure Data Factory, and there is an option to click on Azure Data Factory and there is a separate link open. In a similar way, there is a different workspace will open if you click on launch workspace. So basically you have to hit on launch workspace and you have to choose the account. So there will be a single sign on. There is a nothing required to sign on again. Okay, so Databricks is opened. Now we can talk about these options. So this is Azure Databricks workspace. Okay, so remember, whenever we have to build any Azure Bricks in programming, right, ETL transformation, we have to come here in this link, right? This is a separate link dedicated for whatever Azure services you have created, resources you have. Now you can see there are three sections of this. So new, data engineering and machine learning section. So this is available for standard sub method because we have selected a standard, right? Not the premium one. That's why it's coming with these three options. So first one is a workspace. So workspace is nothing but if you have created any folder, then it will be able to, you will be able to create a folder for your project, right? So one of the project I had created, right? So it's very simple. You have an option to create it. You can just create. Okay, let me create another one. We will do that, but let me go through, walk you through what are options we are having. So workspace, we are clear. This is for managing your project. Okay, within this workspace you can create your project folder, and within that project you can create the other things like notebook you can create, right? So this is the notebook which I created. Okay, we will just walk you through once again. Okay, then recent is basically whatever recently you have done activity, like recent notebook you have done, it will be available to you. Catalog simply means about tables and data. If you have just created any table data or worked on it, then you would be able to see the catalog. Workflow is nothing but if you have trigger any job, then it will be there, right? So we should there is a data engineering and machine learning. We are not going to talk about these two options right now, but as of now, we can only say that this data engineering is nothing but whenever any job is scheduled from the data engineering perspective, means ETL operation, this will be available here. You can create a job. For machine learning, you can have, you know, any kind of algorithm written for your machine learning activities. So we have a playground, experiment, model, serving, all these options are coming because Databricks is mostly used for machine learning algorithms also. right? Anyways, so now the most important part is this one. So let me first of all give you a brief what we have done so far, right? So basically in Azure Databricks, right, we have created Azure Workspace, right? And this Azure Workspace, we have used our resource group, we have used our standard pricing model, okay, to save the cost. And then we have launched our workspace basically. We have created a managed resource group, okay, managed resource group. So these are the things that we had covered. The next thing what we have to do is we have to know about cluster, okay, cluster or compute, you can say compute. So basically, what does it mean? Now, because we are writing a program. So whenever we write a program, for example, you are writing a program in C or you are writing a program in Python, right? So you need a system or you need a platform basically, right? You need a platform where you can execute your program, right? So that you can do the desired activity with the help of that program. But system is required. For example, if you are writing a Python, you need a VS Code or you need a Jupyter notebook, right? Jupyter, or you need a Anaconda, right? So these are what? These are providing you a platform where you can execute your program and it can give you right results. So basically, if you have to do any activity, you are logging to your laptop, right? Without laptop, you cannot do any IT activity, right? So laptop is nothing but a platform. In laptop also you have an operating system and other softwares. So similar way, to work on Azure Databricks, you need a infrastructure. Those infrastructure will be given by your Databricks company, Apache Spark. Basically, Apache Spark will give you the infrastructure, Databricks infrastructure, right? So you need to create a cluster. So these are cluster is nothing but a kind of infrastructure which Apache Spark provides. So it depends. It's you can say that this is a kind of a laptop they are providing you or system they are providing you in their company, correct? To run any Databricks job or activity. Fine. So that's why cluster is very, very important. Now it depends on you if you want to select very high profile cluster or low profile cluster or medium profile cluster, right? If you have a very high requirement of high database, you will put higher core. So basically, when you are purchasing a laptop, what you are doing, you are purchasing multiple core, single core laptops, right? We have some different processor laptops, right? Similarly, based on our configuration, we will be charged. So in this case, because we are not using very big data, right? And we don't, if we will use that, then definitely we will be charged more. So to make a cost-effective solution, we will be choosing a very low profile cluster so that we can save money also. Fine. Okay, so this cluster configuration is more important. So next activity is how to do this. Okay, so we have this, we can go to compute and we can create compute. Okay, one of the compute I already created, but I can just walk you through. When you hit on the create compute, right, this one of the things got comes. So we will just, first of all, what we did, we will change the description. Okay, we can make like this, like ADB project, something like that, one, because maybe I have created this. Okay, this is not allowing any number. So there are two kinds of cluster compute resource, ABC put, okay, because this name is already taken, I believe. Okay, so now there are two types of compute we can do, multi-node and single node. So what do you meaning by multi-node? For example, if your mobile is running 5 applications parallelly, then your mobile is capable of multi-node. right? But if your mobile cannot run five process parallelly, only one process can run. So it's a single node. So I hope you are able to understand that we can choose multi-node and single node, but I'm choosing single node just because I don't want to, put more complicated one. Okay, it will be a cost effective, so that's the reason I'm choosing single node. Now access mode. Access a single user or no isolation shared. So I'm not going to share anyone with me, a restricted user or single user. Okay. So I'm just using a single user. Okay. User level access is I'm giving this access to this login only, right? Then here is the most important part, how to select and what to select. Okay, so performance, so Databricks runtime version. So if you put the cursor over here, right, let me select the image that will be used to create cluster. Okay, for detail and specific about this image, you can go and check the Databricks guide also, right? But it will give you all the things what is available, right? So what do you mean by LTS? LTS is long term support. So basically we will select LTS. Okay, and we will try to select the lower LTS configurations. Okay, for example, if you will select 9.1, okay, and if you want to select more feature like 14.3, okay, so in this one I have selected 14.3, but let's select anyone, right? So let's select the most primitive one, okay? 9.1. Try to do this thing, okay? Then use photon acceleration. We don't need a photon acceleration, so we will make this unchecked. Now node type. This is more important because you selected a single node. Now it is asking which node type you should select. So this will decide your pricing. So basically you have to hit here, and I would suggest delta cache accelerated is the expensive one because it will enable your delta mechanism. I'm not using the delta. We will use general purpose also only, but not the delta. So in general purpose we are having multiple things, so you can read what is this. So this is a 4 core processor. So it's a kind of a hardware configuration. Okay, 14 GB memory. So what do you need? So based on this the pricing will be there. You can hit on 69 more. Okay, and you can see the most cheapest one is this only. Okay, because this 4 core and 14 GB, you can see. If you increase the memory, then definitely you will be ended with more pricing. Okay, we have this as well, 8 GB, 4 cores. Okay, this is also we have, right? So let's see if I can make this up. If I'm making this up, so you can see this is coming as 1.17 Databricks unit per hour. Okay, so per hour this will be charging. So terminate after 20 minutes. So if, what I should do, I should make it 20, or I can make it to 10 also. Why? Because if I'm not doing any activity, it should terminate automatically. Otherwise, the clock will start and our pricing will also be increased. Okay. So you can see this is the overall things that we will be charged, okay, per hour, Databricks units. Now imagine try to switch to some other LTS. Okay, if I select this, right, and what is the pricing? Okay, pricing is same. Okay, so pricing is same, so we can select this, no problem. Now try to select this one. Okay, when I selected this 16 GB 4 core, right, the pricing is 1 dbu per hour, right? So this is much more cheaper. Agreed? Okay, one second. But this is under the delta acceleration. No, no, no. Okay, let's choose this and see what's the difference. This is much cheaper, right? 0.75 dbu per hour. Okay. And in this one, if I select this, there's a no difference. So what we should do, we should put 14.3 only. Okay, so you can select, right, 14.3, and you can select 14 GB 4 core and always check the pricing, right? So at the moment you will hit on create compute, it will create it. Okay, so I'm not going to create right now because I have already created that. So I have created that with the name of ADB practice. You can see the same configuration which I just now explained is used here. Single user, 14.3 LTS, and node type is this one. Okay, and you can see standard is 0.75 dbu per hour. Correct. So at the moment you click on create, it will be created. It is again taking time, so I am not going to create right now in front of you, but this is the method of creating the compute or cluster. Okay, if you want to do any activity you have to start it, otherwise always terminate it, make it terminated. Okay, make it stopped. Fine. So this is more important activity so far. Okay, now we are again going back to our Excel sheet, so we can talk about what we did so far. So first step, we created data Azure Databricks workspace, right? No, Azure Database we have created. Then second step, we created compute cluster. Okay. Third step is, what should be our third step? We need to connect with our ADLS Gen 2, right? ADLS Gen 2, which is in my terms, it is alpha. It is named as alpha. Okay. How to do that? This is again the important thing we are having, right? Okay. So before going to do that, I'm going to create a workspace. In workspace, I created a folder. Okay. So how I can create? You can do a right click. Okay. So this is the workspace. You can see what are the options we have in workspace. So if you go inside workspace, you can have some folders, predefined folders are there. First one is a repository folder. So if you see the repository folder, it means, yeah, you have some outside repository or what are the inside repositories. So shared. So if you, there is a shared repository and we have a user repository, right? If you want to create any folder within the user repository, you can do that. So this is your user repository, workspace inside user. If you want to share this with anyone, you can create any folder over here. If you want to share it with some other people, right, in the project, so then you will create here. If you want to share uh, in through GitHub, right, you can use this. For example, if I click, okay, just a second. So if I click on repository, repos, so you can see you can now create git folder. So it will directly create a folder in your GitHub repositories outside the repo folders, right? Outside the repo folders for simplified UI in organization. Go to home folder and create git folder, right? And you can connect your git folder here, right? If you want to share through GitHubs. So anyways, we are going to first create a repository inside your user. So one way is to create from here, or other way just, okay, other way just go there and we have an option to create and create a folder, right? So I'm going to create a folder and the folder name is ADP project. Let's create ADP project 1. Correct, because this is already done. So this has created, the folder has created. Now the next thing what we can do is we can create a notebook. Okay, so why notebook is required? What do you mean by notebook? So as we know, we all are using notebook plus plus, right? And why we are using notebook plus plus? Because it help us to do in programming. It help us to do in programming in multiple languages. So I can show you notebook plus plus also, right? So you can see it can help you in writing some script. So there are multiple programming languages. You can just, use it. right? JSON, Java, C, C++, SQL, Python, everything, right? So in a similar way, our Databricks also provide you a concept of notebook where you can write your program in a Scala. Scala is a programming language. In a R language, you can write in Python and you can write in SQL, right? So when you are creating any programming for your Databricks activity is basically storage or ETL or analysis or ML algorithms. Okay, analysis or AI ML, right? So all these things you can do with the help of programming, and these are the language where you can use which you can use to do the programming, correct? Now, so basically if we have to do any transformations, we are using Python to do that, or any of the language of your choice. So basically what we have to do is we have to create a notebook first to do that. So I am going to create and hit on notebook. So at the moment I hit on notebook, it opens a, or by default, you know, notebook. So it named as untitled notebook and it is giving me the timestamps. The best way is I should rename it. So if I want to rename, I can make it like data transformation. Okay, something like that. Data transformation for alpha layer, something like that, right? Correct. So what kind of this is language? I'm choosing it for Python. By default it is coming as Python, but I can change it. I can make it as SQL also, as Scala as well, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to change it. So before going with that, because I know you guys are already, you know, learning the Python and knowing the concept maybe, right? So the first and foremost things, let's create some kind of heading. Okay, so if I click on this, there are three options. Markdown. So these are the language. Okay, but Markdown give you the uh, heading basically, right? If you click on Markdown, the percentage MD, this is the symbol. Okay, when you go to the Python, basics, you will get to learn about Markdown. Markdown is nothing to make a marker, some headings. Okay, so for example, if you put like hash hash, okay, this will increase your, font or bullet, right? So for example, double hash I am putting, or triple hash I am putting, okay, for you can say um, alpha layer data transformation, right? And to just commit this command, you can see Shift plus enter to run and move to the next cell. Okay. Control Shift plus P to open the command palette. Escape to all the things. So basically you have to press Shift enter because you want to run this command and you want to move it to the next cell, right? So I am putting Shift plus enter, right? You can see this has come as a new one. Okay. But if you want to make, okay, yeah, fine. So this is all about putting some descriptions, okay, in bullet format. Just a second. Just hold on. Let me make it the heading part because heading is very small, right? So if I want to make it bullet, I will put this 3 time hash and keep this control plus shift start run and switch. Okay, the compute has not yet started. It's waiting for compute to start because uh, we have created the cluster, but we have not started it. That's why it was not running. So it is trying to start. So till the time the compute is starting, I'm going to, do the other activities over here. Okay. Or maybe let's stop the compute once again. I should starting. Okay, from here you can terminate. Let me terminate as of now. Okay. Now, the next activity we have to do is we have to connect with ADLS Gen 2 and Alpha. And how to connect that? That is the most important part of this exercise. So basically, we have a Azure Databricks ready, Workspace is ready. We have a ADLS Gen 2, and I showed you the ADLS Gen 2 is nothing but alpha layer. Then we need to connect this both the things with some passwords or key configurations, right? Because it needs some permissions, because otherwise this is in the Apache Spark, this is in Azure, right? So there should be a permission mechanism. So how we can build that? So initially, that when we were doing for Azure Data Factory, we had created a link services, right? You can think about the similar kind of things, but it's not link services, it's a you know application, a security application with the help of which we would be able to connect Databricks with ADLS Gen 2, right? So what we will do, we will create an application, Microsoft based application. That application will save the password or some IDs, with the help of which it will, identify, okay, this is the person where we can exchange the data. Okay. If I talked about a simple example of it, for example, tomorrow, or if you have a access card for your company, right? Then your access card can be taken by anyone, right? And enter in the company, but that will become illegal. Agreed? So what your company will do, your company will issue an access card, right? Or you can say in there could be a biometrics, where if you enter the gate of the company, you will show your biometrics, and only the gate will be opened when you are showing it. In a similar manner, biometrics is nothing but is a kind of applications. So we need to register that application, right? So now I'm going to help you how to register those applications. Okay. So for this, what we will do, we will go to home. So you can see this Databricks, because it came into recent, so it's coming over here. So what we will do, we will check for Microsoft Ethernet, Entra ID, Microsoft Entra ID. And what we will do, we have an option under the manage section. We have option to applications, app registration. Okay. So this option we have to choose, because we want to register an application which identify the passwords and IDs for this external environment, right? So I'm going to just register an app application. This is one of the application I already registered, but I'm going to talk about. Okay. So we will hit on new registration. We will just put like ADB, or you can say Databricks roles. Okay, something like that. Now I just have to hit on register. Okay. So the moment I register this, correct? The moment I register this, I get these information for this app, and these information I need to store it. Okay. So basically this will be useful to connect. So basically these informations I should store it right away. So what I will do, I will hit on this notepad, and this is my application client ID, right? So I'm going to store this application client ID, right? And what are the client ID, I will make it copy to clipboard. I will just save it. Then I will use this object ID, right? Then I'm going to use the object ID as well. I'll hit on copy and I will save it. Then I will use the directory ID, right? Sorry. Oh, okay. Now I save the directory ID as well. Okay. Okay. Now, one more thing we need to do, because these are the IDs. Okay. Now, what we have to do is we have to create the secrets also. Secrets means password. Okay. Please avoid the spelling mistakes. Okay, this is the secret. So we have to click on certificate and secrets. Okay, so when we are talking about certificate and secrets, we need to click on new secrets, new client secret, right? So for new client secrets, we need to enter the descriptions. So I can enter like AD Databricks, Databricks, okay, project, something like that, right? So it is recommended for 6 months. So this secret will be available for next 6 months, right? So I just clicked on Databricks project. So this is secret ID value. So I just have to click on value, secret ID. Okay, okay, fine. So these are the things. So the next, what we should do, the next item is we have to just connect ADLS with alpha with our sorry our Databricks with ADLS. And what is our ADLS Gen 2 container? Storage container is alpha. Okay. Now for this, what we have to do is we have to go to Google. Okay. We have to go to Google and we have to type access data lake using Databricks, because we need to access our data lake, actually Azure Data Lake, not Azure Data Lake using Databricks. Access Azure Data Lake. Okay, fine. So just avoid this sponsored links. These are just nothing but advertisements basically. Now connect to Azure Data Lake. Okay, so we can just go to this link. And why we are going this link? Because there are some um, already generated programming. We don't have to write the program by ourselves, right? We can just make use of the programming. Okay, with the help of program we need to connect. Okay, so basically we can use this Azure. This is a Python based program, so we can copy this entire program. Okay, we can make it copy and we can just, okay, we have to hit here, sorry, this is their cluster. We have to go to workspace. This is our notebook. So inside notebook, okay, let me create a new notebook. Okay, I have already done this. Okay, but I'm just creating a new notebook, and in that notebook I'm not going to save it. Okay, let's create a markdown. So I'm using alpha layer data logic, correct? I will put control shift, right? Then I will use in this time. Okay, I just the spelling is not correct. Okay, so let me correct the spelling. Alpha, control shift enter. Okay. Oh, it's not. Okay, it's not yet connected. Okay, so I need to connect the cluster, because cluster was terminated. Okay, okay. Uh, till the time it gets open. Okay, I can just hit on code plus. Fine. And what I will do, I will paste the code. What happened? Okay, yeah. So whatever I have copied, I just pasted it. Okay. Now what we have to do, we have to, remove some of the elements. So for example, this secret ID, get secret ID, I'm just removing because we are using application, right? So first line is removed. Then we have a storage account. So we have to replace this storage account everywhere. So what we can do, we can go to home. What's our storage account? This is our storage account. This is the name of the storage account. I will copy this name as it is. Right. So whatever storage account you want to connect, you just copy and replace. So you remember these signs should also be replaced, right? So you can see how many place storage account are used. One, two, three, four, five. There are five places. So all five places you need to just replace this storage account name, right? Okay. So all these five places we have replaced the storage account. Got it? Okay. Now what is next? Next is you can see the next is your application ID. Okay. So after a storage account, this is the application ID. So here you have to replace application ID. Fine. And okay, we don't have any other application ID. Then you have a directory ID. Okay. Just copy this object ID. This is the directory ID. Okay. And avoid this. One second. I did some mistake. Maybe app ID is done. Okay. Oh, let's figure this out. Okay, this is security ID. The security ID is nothing but the security credential. Okay, but this security credential should be removed and it should be in the double quotes. I'm just putting security credentials. I don't know, last letter is 4. Okay, no, not 4. Okay, okay, it's connected now. Fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to run this. It's waiting. Okay, it's waiting. So we'll have to check if it is connected. So it is connected successfully. You can see. Okay. So this is how we can make the connection ready. Okay. And let's run this as well. Control Shift. We can run from here. Okay. Okay. So let's continue this tomorrow. Otherwise, it will be too much for you for today.